Today we're going to talk about increasing, decreasing, and constant. First, let's talk about the definitions. The definition of increasing is a function f is increasing on an open interval if for any choice of x1 and x2 in the interval x1 is going to be less than x2, we get that f of x1 is less than f of x2. So I can pick any x1 and any x2 on this graph, and I should get my f of x1 to be less than my f of x2, and it does. And now for the definition of decreasing, a function f is decreasing on an open interval if for any choice of x1 less than x2, we have f of x1 is greater than f of x2. And so I could pick any x1 on here and any x2 on here, and my f of x1 should be greater than my f of x2, and it is. And our definition of constant, a function is constant on an open interval if for all choices of x, the values of f of x are equal. So I can choose any two x's on here, such as x1 is less than x2. So let's see, x1 and x2. And our f of x1 should equal our f of x2, and it does in this case. So let's look at this example on the right. We have a graph, and we want to talk about increasing, decreasing, and constant for this graph. So let's just work with the graph from left to right and see what we can see. So starting with this red line right here, this looks like it's increasing. And this blue line, it looks constant. This green line, it looks like it's increasing. And this black line, it looks like it's decreasing. So let's start off with increasing, and we're going to write this in interval notation. So increasing on this red line is, for the x values, it's -3, comma, -1. And our symbol for and is like an N. It looks like an end. An N. The green line is from 0 to 2. And our decreasing is from 2 to 3. And our constant area is from -1 to 0. Now let's look at some more graphs. Okay, so we have two more graphs here. So let's look at this first one on the left, and we're going to determine when it's increasing, decreasing, and constant. So let's start from left to right, and it looks like we're going down, so this area all the way to 0 is decreasing. And then after 0, it looks like we're going up till we hit 2, so that's increasing. And then from 2 on, it looks like we are constant. So let's write this in interval notation. So we're increasing. We said it was from 0 to 2, so we're going to have 0, comma 2. And we're decreasing, and since we have an arrow, we're going to be decreasing from -infinity all the way to 0. And then we're constant from 2, and since it has an arrow, we're going to infinity. Now let's look at the second graph. Let's go from left to right. It looks like we're increasing from -4 to -2, and then from -2 we're going down to 0, so that's going to be decreasing, and we're going to increase till we get to 1, and then we're going to decrease again until we get to 3. So let's put this in our interval. So we're increasing from -4, comma, -2, and from 0 to 1, we're decreasing from -2, comma, to 0, and from 1 to 3, and there is no constant. And that's how to determine increasing, decreasing, and constant.